We're going to the court for this one, Kevin. I don't mean the People's Court. I mean the hardwood. And your friend Bill Laimbeer is often the topic of much discussion. I caught this clip of Larry Bird talking about what it was like to play against Bill Laimbeer in the 80s.
I never really ever liked Laimbeer in any social situation.
No.
Yeah.
And it's because he was a dirty player.
Right.
Now, he had to do what he had to do. I understand that. But you take, like, Ricky Mahorn, hit you and all that, but he'd hit you, you know you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
But he didn't try to maim you.
Right.
Bill tried to hurt you.
Right.
And, he was one of them guys, you shoot a jumper, he tried to slide his foot underneath your ankle so you twist your ankle. And that's why Parrish
Did he
always
really used to
did
do that?
If you watch any of our old games, Parrish was always twisting his ankle against the Pistons. So one time I shot a jumper and Laimbeer did it to me, and I stepped on his foot, but I stepped on a high, didn't twist my ankle. I don't know, a quarter or two later, he was shooting that jumper. I slid mine in there. That's the last time he ever did it.
Really?
Yeah. But he was, he had to play the way he had to play, and we all understood that. But if you carry it too far, you carry it over the line, you got to protect yourself.
I remember Bill and
You'd agree that you're going to leave you Detroit behind a minute here. You'd agree that that's a terrible, terrible thing to do. Under the basket.
That foul where he fucking clotheslines and drives Bird down to the ground.
Oh, that's when they ended up in fisticuffs under the basket. Yeah.
Well, actually, Rodman probably threw more punches in that melee than anybody else. But yeah, Laimbeer was a nasty fucker.
Yeah. He talked about Rick Mahorn,
who was it
right?
who was it that broke? Was it did Chief bust him? Who busted his nose? Remember, Laimbeer played like half a season with one of those
with the mask. You think it was Parrish?
I don't know who it was.
I don't remember.
Remember Jabbar got poked in the eye by Kent Benson. I think he turned around and punched the standard and broke his hand and missed a bunch of fucking games.
Oh.
Somebody punched. I remember somebody punched Kent Benson in the fucking head too. That might have been Parrish. Parrish didn't take no shit.
No, he didn't take shit. The Chief didn't take shit.
Chief was all fucking smoked up, man. Dude, fucking with my buzz, man. I'm gonna have to give you a little bit of this knucklage.
The reputation. God, I love basketball in the 80s. Oh my God. The teams had such identities. It was almost like wrestling in a way. That the tag teams had an identity. The Bad Boys from Detroit, and actually, Rodman was a little crazy, but Bill Laimbeer was the only bad boy. Isaiah was a.
Mahorn was he was a tough fucker.
Yeah, but like Bird said, Mahorn, you're going to get banged up a little bit. There was nothing dirty. He wasn't trying to take you out, twist your ankle or whatever. But it's funny. I watch a lot of. I come across on YouTube sometimes younger basketball fans of today watching the legends, just kind of like being exposed to them for the first time or whatever. And they always say that the guys today couldn't have played back then just because of how quick they are to the whistle now. Referees, these guys would have been not ready for the physicality of 70s and 80s basketball under the glass. Do you agree with that?
No, I think that it's like anything else. I think that, if you would have had the same rules in the 70s where you couldn't hit the quarterbacks wouldn't be. I just think you're going to adapt. It's got to the point now where, and now this next season coming up is going to be interesting on the flop rule, because there's sometimes, man, like
what they've changed.
Yeah, where you go to if you go to the hole and you don't get hammered and you do the grab your head, all that bullshit. But see, LeBron has taken that to an art form because that's what the game is. So there's so many times you'll go to the basket and I'll be like, "Fuck, man, call the foul." Then they'll show it in slow motion. I'll be like, "Oh, There wasn't one.
Mm.
So
But you think guys? I'm thinking of guys like Charles Oakley, Charles Barkley. You think there's the same level of physicality in today's game as there was back then? These guys?
no, because it's not allowed. But the
Oh,
bodies.
that's what I'm. Okay, right.
The bodies are still there.
Should they let them play a little more?
Let Jokic play. Let that big Frankenstein loose. There's some big boys in that league.
That is funny.
And the thing is, when you had that era, almost everybody had a hatchet man. Like you had a hatchet guy on your team.
On the team to go out and do the
like Kite from
Greg Kite.
You know,
that big white bastard was good for something at least.
That motherfucker that the Jazz had, Oster, whatever his name was. They had some fucking man. I'm trying to think of some of those white fuckers that just come in and just pound the fuck out of people.
Yeah. Great Greg Kite reference. I wouldn't have guessed that we would have had one. He became a Celtic in 1986, I think, right?
He was from Brigham Young. He went to Brigham, played ball at Brigham Young. Actually wasn't a bad ball player, just, you know. But I remember, like, when I was a kid watching the NBA, and like the guys like John Block and Toby Kimball and some of these fucking guys, man, both of those guys were bald. You know, they were bald. Like Toby Kimball was a bald 6'9" guy, played with the Kansas City Royals. You know, just looked like somebody's dad just got done cutting the lawn, put some fucking sneakers on and some high socks, and you know, John Block was a decent shooter from free throw line end.
That's a little before me.
Tom Borwinkle went to Tennessee. Big 7'2" guy, big monster. Paul McKeskey was at Kansas, a 7'2" guy. Yeah, there were some fucking beasts.
Like in hockey, you know, when you had the guy who they'd send out there to just.
Well, there's like during that era with Schultz.
Dave Schultz. Yeah, exactly. The Flyers.
I think that Flyers team was. Yeah. Well, but fucking Orr was no bitch. Bobby Orr? He was no bitch. He didn't take any shit. He was a tough defenseman. And then it got to the Probert and the Domain and those guys.
Probert, my God.
I mean, there were guys that they fucking when the Wings would play Toronto, shit, they just wait for those fuckers. There were times before the puck dropped, those guys were dropping their gloves.
Yeah, the news clips at the end of the night looked more like the WBA championships than anything in the NHL.
Yeah. All that was missing was those green belts.
Exactly.
I think that should be the new rule. Everybody, all belts should be on green leather in every sport.
Every sport.
Every sport.